Hey guys, and welcome back. This is now part 2 of my Star Trek vinyl figure build of Dr. McCoy. Alright, well, it's time to get started painting Dr. McCoy's face and head, and in preparation for this, I did take the time to view some YouTube videos on this subject, so I'd like to share the channels that I viewed with you here. And these include Darren Carnell's Bringing Collectibles to Life, Classic Plastic 101 by Chris Cortell, we have Scale Model Enthusiast by Mark Fraley, Galactivids is a channel that shows a tutorial on how to paint an Obi-Wan Kenobi head, and then there's Dr. Faust's Paint Clinic. And if you are interested in doing a project like this, I think you'll find their videos pretty helpful. So I'm hoping I can apply some of those techniques that I've learned from these guys successfully here. We're going to start off with Vallejo's Beige Red as our base color and move on from there. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so this is how it's looking with the Beige Red, and I'm going to give this some time to dry and then we'll move on to the next color. Okay, so what I decided to do for this next coat here is to mix some paint. I was just following Darren Carnell's example there on his YouTube video. So I decided to try to mix some colors and get close to what I was seeing on screen here. And all I'm doing now is just lightly brushing this next coat on here. So just kind of going along like this, and it's lightening him up a bit. Alright, so next step that he does is to take a red color and dilute it down and to apply some of this along the eyelids here, the ears, as well as the hairline. Alright, so you can see this process now has allowed me to add some color to the cheeks, the mouth, chin, and the eye area here, along with the ears and the hairline. So it's coming along, and so next step now will be to proceed with a little bit of a darker shade. A reminder just to stop for a quick second just to review the steps I've done so far. I forgot to tell you what colors I mixed for the second layer of paint. Of course, our base coat was this beige red. Allow that to dry, and then for the next layer I mixed these colors here, beige red with the skin tone, which is more cream in color, along with a little bit of white and some red. I chose these colors because that's what Darren Carnell was doing there in his video. He didn't mention exact colors he was using, but I just was trying to follow along his example. And after that was dry, we then used the red that was thinned down a bit there to apply, as I just showed you there, along the lids and cheeks and so forth. And by the way, I did apply that to the inner part of his hands. Alright, let's go ahead and move on now. Okay, as I continue to follow Darren's lead here, the next step was to take a brown color and apply it to the surface of the figure. So we're going to take this and dilute it a bit, and we'll brush it on and go from there. I'm going to actually start work on his hair, and so what I've done now is mixed in some burnt umber, some black, and some of the brown there. Alright, next step was to combine some of the cream. I used the skin tone here along with the beige red and a little bit of brown, and that evened up the skin color a bit more now. It was looking a little splotchy. The next thing we're going to do now is combine this red color with the beige red, and again a little bit of this color here. Okay. And with this color we're going to lightly apply it now to the cheeks and the chin area. Alright, so we're going to move on to the eyes now, and there are obviously different techniques in painting the eyes. We're going to start off with a light cream color, which we're going to add some white to this, and a very small amount of gray. Alright, so it's now time to fill in the eye. So the first thing I did was I added a little gloss coat to the eye itself and allowed that to dry. Now, we're going to do this in stages. The first is an application of a mixture of blue and black, and then we'll move on to lighter colors from there. Alright, next thing I need to do is to fill in these dark circles with a lighter color and leaving a dark ring around the rim. Now you notice I'm using a toothpick versus a brush. I just feel I have a little bit more control this way. Alright, so next step is I'm going to add a lighter color right here along the bottom half of the iris, and that is supposed to help replicate a natural reflection off the eye. Okay, and the next step now is to finally add the pupil. Alright, so here we go. So I think the eyes are looking pretty good. The other thing I did was I just lightly dabbed a little black underneath right here at the edge of the upper eyelid, just to mimic eyelashes. I'm not going to go any darker than that, otherwise it's going to look like he has eyeliner on. And I'm not going to apply any of that along the bottom lid. So I gotta go ahead and apply dull coat now because he's looking a bit shiny. Alright, so I'm now completing his body, or at least working on the body of the figure. And so there are a couple approaches here. You know, there are a lot of recesses, as you can see, and folds in his shirt. You know, you could argue just leave the figure like this and just let the light do its own thing. But I've seen a number of figures where they accentuate these types of things, and so there are a couple approaches you can take. You can apply a darker tone to the folds in his shirt, and then apply a lighter tone to the areas of relief that stick out toward you. I tried to do that, and it just wouldn't look right. I tried and tried, and I just kind of gave up on it. So I applied the base coat again. And then I figured, well, maybe I could try my airbrush and apply it to some of these areas that would be, you know, shaded, or at least to accentuate more of the shading, and that didn't look right. So I reapplied the base coat, and now what I decided to do was just to work with pastels, because I'm experienced with that, and we'll just see how this turns out. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up here. Basically what I'm going to do is, again, just apply a light gray pastel to some of these folds here just to accentuate the shadowing. I may not do anything with the highlights, we'll see. Okay, it looks a little harsher here on camera as I'm looking at it through the monitor, but it is a bit more subtle in person. But you can see what I'm getting at here now. I am applying some shading here along these folds and making them look a little more accentuated. I think it's working out much better. Maybe it's because I'm just used to using pastels, but it's just giving me a lot more control as to how much I want to add here or take away. As you apply this, you know, if you put too much, you just take a Q-tip like this and just gently rub away, and it'll lighten the area up. So I'm going to actually lighten this area here a little bit. But let me show you the backside here so far. So I think this will work much better for me anyway. So I'll go ahead and proceed. I'm going to add some shadowing along this strap here of the tricorder. I may just stop midway here and just go ahead and paint the strap and then proceed on with the shading. So I'll show you my progress here shortly. Alright, so here is the shirt completed now, and as you can tell I've added the gold color for the insignia and the braid. Painted the strap for the tricorder and the buckle as well. For the braid, by the way, I just used Tester's Gold. I just had that on hand, and for the buckles I just used Tester's Chrome. And so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and leave well enough alone here. I'm not really going to do anything with the highlights. I think it looks fine as it is. So I'm going to go ahead and give this some time to dry. I'm going to attempt to create that black outline along the arrowhead of the insignia. Alright, so I was able to finish up the insignia here now, and used a brush for application of the gold color, and then just a toothpick to outline the black areas there. And the tricorder is all set to go. I just used some pinstriping that I had available here to create the vertical chrome pinstripes that you see there, and I just used Tester's Chrome to paint that horizontal bar. So I'm going to give things a bit more time to dry here, but I'm ready for final assembly here shortly. I'll go ahead and show you the completed project in just a second. All right, I want to move on to the base here, and if you recall, I made this out of plaster of Paris. I showed you that in the last video. Since then, I've primed it black, and I have added these two neodymium magnets here. I added some magnets to his boots, so as the figure stands on it, it will hopefully add for some more stability there. I did think about adding some prongs to his boots and drilling holes, but I don't know, I just thought I would try this approach instead. Now the other thing I came across was something at Michael's. That's this stuff here, which can be used to make plants in your background of a diorama. You can find it in their diorama section. And I remember seeing Star Trek episodes where they would land on a planet's surface and they'd have these weed-like plants sticking out in between the rocks. And it just gave me an idea that I could possibly create plants that would look like that. And so what I've done is I've taken a bunch of them now and glued them together along the base here. And hopefully we'll be able to attach them in between the rocks and kind of replicate what was seen on TV. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. I plan now to paint this a tan color to start with. And this is how the stand turned out. So again, just a combination of some different colors. I used tan and brown and just mix and matched, dry brushed some stuff. Used some gray for the rocks there. And you can see these are the weed-like plants that I was hoping for. I may decide to add a bit more. It looks a little bit sparse right now, but I may decide to add maybe another one right here. The magnets are hidden here. I just covered them with a little bit of hot glue so they kind of blended in. I tried the figure on there and it seems like he stands pretty well. So this is completed now. Let's go ahead and put everything together. I'll show you the final project here in just a second. Alright everybody, and here we now have the completed figure. This of course is the AMT vinyl kit of Dr. McCoy from the original series. The kit measures 12 inches high. The one thing I'm not particularly crazy about with this figure is just the way they have him standing. As you view him now, he stands a bit crooked, but that's because he just seems to be leaning there to one side. He's got one leg propped that way. I had thought about changing the pose a little bit by altering it with heat. Maybe shifting the legs around, but I was worried that that might affect the way that the figure would be able to stand. So as you know, this is my first figure kit, and I was a bit worried as to how well the face would turn out in particular, but having those tutorials online really helped out. There's still a lot more I need to learn with blending colors and making the skin look more realistic, but this really turned out much better than I anticipated. One area that can be hard are the eyes. However, again, referring to the video by Galactivids, this is the one in particular that goes over painting an Obi-Wan Kenobi head. Basically, those series of videos show you how to detail a figurehead from a collectible. But there's one video in particular that they devote to painting the eyes. Just follow that one step by step. I was really pleased with the results. At least when he's painted, he does seem to resemble DeForest Kelley a bit better. I know it's not the most incredible likeness of him, but you can kind of see there is some resemblance to him there. Alright everybody, well that pretty much does it for this project. If you have yet to try a figure kit, I would recommend that you do. I really wasn't all that interested in building figures until a friend suggested that I try it, and as I mentioned early on, this was a gift by him so that I could give this a shot. And really, it was a fun project to work on, and certainly it's another opportunity to learn some new things. Alright, well if you have any questions, feel free to contact me here on my YouTube channel or at interstellarmodeler@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching. Take care.